Guys, it's been like a whole year since I've posted on this channel, and I thought I'd make a return. But all the time I'm thinking, how am I going to make this video? Because it's going to take so long to explain to you guys what's happened. I've even had to bring a trusty notebook in order to kind of remember where we've been at. I just watched the last video a year in, and now we're 2 years in already from when I left my business and when I left England. So let's go. Let's see what's happened in this time. A lot has changed. So in the last video, I did get engaged to my wife, who is now my wife. And from there, things got pretty crazy. So since the engagement, we got engaged in December, not last December, but the December before that. I like to do things fast, as you know, and I don't hold back on things. So I decided to get the wedding up and over and out of the way, basically. I wanted to get it done as soon as possible. Most people in England are waiting 1 year minimum, 2 years is pretty much the standard waiting time now. I basically organised it 5 months, pretty much just under 5 months away from when I got engaged. And at that point, I'd not planned to get married at that point. You know, we got engaged and then I was just like talking to her and we're thinking, you know, should we get married and stuff like that? And I thought, you know what? Let's just go for it. Let's just get it done. Let's just get it out of the way. As bad as that sounds, but I just wanted to get things sorted. I just wanted to do it. And it's like with everything I do, I just want to just go and do it rather than waiting around for it. So that's what we did. But it wasn't as easy as you'd expect, because not only was it a short time to sort of organise everything, it was in another country as well. We decided to go for Serbia to do the wedding. So for us to organise a wedding in a different country within a 4 or 5 month period was kind of crazy. And it was crazy. But we managed it in the end. And was it amazing? It was the most incredible day of my life. It was amazing. And everyone who came had such a great time. You know, a lot of people hadn't come to Serbia before, and they didn't probably have much expectations of the country, but when they came, they just absolutely loved it. Most of them would have gone again. So we had an absolutely fantastic time. You're probably thinking, like, how is it possible? How did you manage to book everything in another country, you know, in that kind of period of time? How fast? Well, once we found the venue and managed to secure a date, we kind of went from there. We went through the invitations, and because you're from a Serbian family or whatever, you need to invite all your family and all your friends and your friends' neighbours and all that kind of thing. So I think the invite list was over 200 to start with. And obviously, you know, a lot of people were invited from England, and, you know, this would be short notice for them to travel all that way to come. And I'm very pleased that some people did manage to do that. As we were in, you know, Croatia most of the time and between lots of different countries, we pretty much had 4 or 5 days where we went to Serbia just to go and organise everything. And, you know, there was things like the cake, flowers, the arrangements. I can't even get it off the top of my head, but there was so much to organise. You know, the church as well. And managing to try and secure the church in that small amount of time frame, and one that we really liked, and we managed to do that. It was a bit crazy. We were like going around like headless flies trying to find everything, but we managed it in the end. So everything just turned out amazing when it came to the wedding side of things. Also, during the period of being engaged and trying to organise a wedding, we had moved out of my dad's house in Croatia at the time and moved into another family's house, which my dad was basically in England, and he decided to return early to Croatia. So we basically decided to then move out of that house for a bit and try and find somewhere else. So we managed to move into another family's house in the meantime. In that house, I was super grateful that that was possible. But it was winter time, and this house is absolutely huge. It was massive. I think it had 6 bathrooms, more than 10 bedrooms, but like it was, you know, there was only heating in one room of the house, and it was winter. And the place that the heating was open to so much windows, and the windows were quite old, and you could feel the wind getting in. So it was constantly freezing in there, trying to like light the fire, keep it lit, all that kind of thing. It was crazy, and it was it was a crazy experience. Everything quite outdated in the house, but we got through it. We got through it somehow. Also, I had a bit of a balls up moment where in the back of the house there was like some grass, which I thought was grass, but actually it turned out to be like a massive compost heap where they'd just been chucking compost in there for God knows how long, right? And when I went to clean out the stove, I removed the ashes from there and chucked them on the grass, but they were still hot. They were still warm. I thought they'd cool down, but they didn't. I then went in the house, and for the rest of the day I kind of smelled smoke, and I just didn't think, like, what the hell is that? I looked outside, couldn't really see anything. And then I walked around to the back and realised that that patch was on fire. And that patch was on fire for several weeks. Can you imagine? Several weeks. I'd never known anything like it. You set fire to something you think is done in like, I don't know, good job of nothing else set on fire, right? But that thing, it was making fires underneath. I mean, this thing was meters and meters deep, and it was just making little fires underneath and smoking. And the smoke was like a smell that I cannot describe. It was disgusting. It was horrible. And I was constantly in there, t-shirt like this, getting the hose pipe, trying to like soak it all, trying to get to stop it being on fire, because it was just on fire for days and weeks on end. Even rain comes. I even like literally left a hose pipe on there for a continuous amount of time, and it still was on fire. And I was like, what the hell is going on here? How do I do this? I was getting a spade, I was digging it all out, trying to get the bits, then spraying the bits that were like on fire, like smouldering, with water, trying to get it out. It was a nightmare. Anyway, I think after 3 weeks, it just stopped. Thank God. Anyway, yeah, during that period, we'd obviously moved to that house. We'd had the wedding to kind of organise. And at the same time, we were looking for a house to either rent or to buy for the nearby future. We then came across a house, and cutting a long story short, we ended up buying it. And this house, which I'm in right now, wasn't decorated at all. It wasn't livable by any standard, really. It wasn't kind of touched since ex-Yugoslavian war. I was still finding, like, inside you could find like coins still from Yugoslavia. It's crazy. So no one had really lived in here since then. And yeah, it was a big renovation task. So in that period, I obviously had the wedding to sort out. I just bought a house and trying to sort out everything with that. I needed to renovate the house as well to make it livable. I had a child on the way as well. And obviously we needed to get the house to a sort of livable standard so that a baby had somewhere, warm to sleep, somewhere cozy, not full of dust and, in an unlivable place. Also, the house I bought had no water and no electricity, right? Me thinking, I'm going to cut a long story short again here because this is a long story. Anyway, because I'm from England, you'd think that, okay, the electricity pylon's right next to my house, right? How hard can it be to connect electricity from that pylon to my house? How long could it take? The answer is, it took 8 months to do. 8 whole months to get electricity to my house. In the meanwhile, the neighbours were kind, and I literally ran a 60-metre cable all the way from our house over to get them to connect it. What's that going to take? Maybe a month to do? Turns out, not possible. They don't have investment to do it, and they wouldn't let me have water. So I was like, what the hell's going on here? Oh my God, what have I bought? I can't have electricity, can't have water, got baby coming, got a wedding to plan. It was insane. And that's, this is one of the reasons why I hadn't put out any films here, because I had literally just so much on my plate at that point. Forget about even, work or anything like that. Just from there, most of my days up to the wedding were doing the house up, spending all the time doing that. Then we got married, and from that period, we then hit the house hard, trying to get everything sorted again. Had a lot of help from Christiana's parents. They were down from Latvia quite a lot to sort of help out with, all the works, really, really good. And really grateful and thankful for all the help. Bit of help from my dad as well, which was handy. So, we all kind of chipped in and got things sorted. Meanwhile, as Christiana's pregnancy was getting further along the line, we realised that things weren't simple to give birth here in Croatia. There was problems of obviously language barrier, and not really knowing how an EU citizen can get things sorted healthcare wise here. They weren't giving us any solid answers. They didn't really know what the answer was, so we were kind of shooting in the dark. We had no idea what the hell we were supposed to do. In the public hospitals, it didn't seem, from our experience, we weren't really taken care of the best at that point. And the fact that the man can't be there during the pregnancy. It's still from the olden times. The man can't be there in the room at all. During any pregnancy checks, the man can't be there. So, you're bringing someone into these rooms to get checks all the time. She can't speak Croatian. I can speak some to get by, but obviously, not all of them speak English. So it was like a real struggle. So, adding everything up, we realized that doing this whole pregnancy thing here in Croatia was just an impossibility, or it was going to be very, very stressful and difficult. Not only that, without any air conditioning in the house, I'm not joking you, during that summer period, it was 40 degrees all the time. You'd go outside and you were just worn out. I know you go on holiday, you kind of enjoy that hot weather, but then actually you kind of realize when you actually live in that, it's a completely different story. It's so hard, and trying to graft inside the house was super tough. Obviously, it's got its positives as well. If you've got a day off and you go to the sea, that's great. But, if you're trying to work in that temperature, it is very, very difficult. So, she was very uncomfortable, sweating all the time and, not being able to move much because, you're pregnant, everything's difficult. So we decided, let's go to England. Let's go to England and get the pregnancy done there. Let's get that sorted there, give birth there. And it turned out to be a very, very good decision. I think we stayed there for over 3 months and just stayed at my mum's house for that period of time. And it was, there was support with my mum there. So it was great. We, with the hospitals and NHS, I cannot fault them at all. Every procedure was done great. We got chased up a lot to sort of have appointments here, there and everywhere. Whereas in Croatia, they just weren't chasing us for anything, there wasn't any appointments to go see a midwife. We had to sort out everything. Whereas in England, as soon as you kind of signed on to say that this was going to happen, they made sure that they kept ringing you and making appointments. And it was really fantastic experience, I think. So then, gave birth, then got my baby. That totally transformed my life. Again, the feeling is amazing. You just can't describe it unless you've been through it yourself. You can't describe it. You kind of know how much that feels and how precious it is, and it's absolutely great to have that big old family now, and great sort of feeling and a great feeling of safety and a foundation in which we can now start, building this family up and growing together. And there's no better feeling than that. So that's kind of where we're at. From those 3 months, we moved to Croatia. Christiana's mum and dad put in a big graft with some builders to get things sorted for the time we got back. And yeah, we're now in like pretty much done at home, and we're just settling in, getting used to Croatian life. And that's kind of like where we are at the moment, you know, we're just settling down, having family life, getting used to everything. I'm obviously working on work-related things, but I'll talk about that in another episode, as I don't want to prolong this too long. I'm just already trying to condense it massively from what's happened in the year. So, you know, we'll keep it at that. So there you have it. I hope this video has kind of been short and sweet. I probably doubt that it has, but it's nice to be back. It's nice to be filming again. I will give you more updates, a bit more of an intricate detail in many different parts of maybe what happened in the last year. But right now, I just needed to give you a great big overview of where we've kind of been at right now. And, you know, this is all part of the journey that I really wanted to kind of film and put out there from, you know, leaving my business, leaving my country to where I am now. So I do want to continue on that because it was my passion, it still is my passion, and I really do just want to sort of record all of my thoughts, my successes, my failures, because actually, you know, just even watching the video from last year of the recap, I realised that, you know, tons even changed from there, and things perhaps, you know, from like some business ideas I had then didn't necessarily turn out well. And this is all part of life, you know, you think something's going to work out really good, doesn't end up working the way that you think. Right, guys, that is the end of today's episode. Hope to see you on the next ones. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And I hope to see you in the next week's episode. Take care.